Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the latest edition of Wow, Lynch, Wow. Dedicated to filmmaker David Lynch and inspired by the triumphant return of Twin Peaks. A friendly warning to everyone who isn't caught up on all 12 episodes of the new Twin Peaks. There will be spoilers and they will begin shortly, so viewers and listeners be warned. Part 12 begins with Cole, Albert, and Tammy drinking wine in a hotel room. Albert explains to Tammy that Project Blue Book was closed down in 1970, and they invite Tammy to join its top-secret successor, the Blue Rose Task Force, and Tammy wants in. Diane then busts through a red curtain and joins them. They want to deputize her. What's in it for her? Some cash, and perhaps the satisfaction of knowing what happened to her friend Dale Cooper. Diane is satisfied and says, "Let's rock." Jerry is running out of the woods. He trips. He's back up, and he's off again. Sarah Palmer is shopping for some booze and smokes. She becomes mesmerized by some beef and turkey jerky. She has an episode of sorts, and begins warning the young employees about something before bolting off without her booze or her smokes. Carl is upset that Criskel is still selling blood. He performs a lot of free labor at the trailer park, so Carl gives him $50 and a free month's rent. Carl doesn't like Criskel selling his blood. He wants him to keep his blood. Cooper and Sonny Jim go outside to play catch, but Cooper doesn't seem to understand the concept. Hawk visits Sarah Palmer to check in on her. He mentions he planned to do so because of some old case files, but she knows he's really just there checking up on the grocery store incident. She doesn't know what came over her, but she's fine now. Some strange noises stir from inside the Palmer house. Hawk asks if anyone else is there, but she says no. He lets her know that if she needs anything, he wants her to call. He stresses help of any kind. Miriam is in the hospital, and she still looks badly roughed up. Diane receives a text saying Las Vegas with a question mark. She responds with, "They haven't asked yet." Sheriff Truman visits Ben Horn. Truman informs him of the unfortunate news that his grandson was the one who ran over and killed the young boy. And also that he tried to kill the only eyewitness, Miriam. Frank convinces Ben to pay for her bills. Ben explains that Richard has never been right. And Ben mentions that Harry had many run-ins with Richard, which leads us to the key. Ben was going to send it to Harry. Frank and Ben agree. It's strange that this key shows up after all these years, especially when an old case involving Cooper resurfaced. Ben tells Beverly a little bit about Richard, but mostly about the bike he loved when he was younger. He also tells her to take care of Miriam's hospital bills, but Ben really loved that bike. Gordon Cole is hanging out with a lady friend when Albert knocks on the door and interrupts. Cole tells her to wait downstairs, but she's in absolutely no rush to leave, and Cole is in no rush to see her leave, much to the dismay of Albert. She eventually does leave, and Albert informs Cole of Diane's recent texting communications. Cole and Albert are baffled, and sometimes Cole worries about Albert. Hutch and Chantel are staking out Warden Murphy. They debate over whether they had time to torture the warden, but she's hungry and she's eager to eat, so they decide to just kill him instead. Hutch kills his target with 2 shots. The warden's son comes out crying for his daddy, and Hutch is ready to hit a nearby Wendy's. Dr. Amp is still pitching his shit-digging shovels, and Nadine is still loving every second of it. Dig your way out of the shit. Holy shit! It's Audrey Horne! And what a mean-spirited bitch she turned out to be. She's talking to her husband, Charlie, and Audrey is rather upset and she really wants to find Billy. Audrey is being exceptionally rude to her husband, and he's so tired and contending with a lot of paperwork to meet a deadline. Charlie ultimately gives in and agrees to go to the roadhouse, but then they get to discussing people named Tina and Chuck and who saw Billy last. Charlie calls Tina and has a long-ass chat with her about whether she was the last to see Billy. And Audrey watches on very anxiously, hanging on Charlie's every word. When he finally gets off the phone, he isn't very forthcoming. He doesn't seem eager to share with her what he just learned, and this infuriates Audrey. Diane tries to remember the coordinates she saw in the photo of Ruth Davenport's arm. She enters what she remembers, and yup, you guessed it, it's Twin Peaks. Some classy chicks are drinking beer at the Roadhouse. We can assume they're classy because of the Heineken Bub Pabst hierarchy established in Blue Velvet. The girls are gossiping about someone named Angela and some dude named Clark, and then some lowlife joins them who just got run off the road. He goes to grab them all some more beer, and something tells me he'll have a Pabst for himself. And so ends part 12. So the big takeaways from me from part 12. Number 1, it's not so hard to believe that Richard is Audrey's son now, is it? What a bitch. Number 2, we know that when Project Blue Book was shut down in 1970 by the U.S. Air Force because they concluded no credible evidence of UFOs existed, and that a few years later, the FBI and military created a top-secret task force to explore troubling abstractions raised by cases that Blue Book failed to resolve. They called it the Blue Rose after a phrase uttered by a woman in one of these cases just before she died. Philip Jeffries headed the squad, and he recruited 3 others: Chet Desmond, Dale Cooper, and Albert himself. This is a very interesting revelation, because now we know only a handful of individuals were involved in Blue Rose, and also because it ties back to a beginning. A mystery woman who uttered the words Blue Rose before she died in one of these earlier cases. I can't help but wonder, is there any connection to the lovely young lass who swallowed the Frogger moth? Number 3, for now, I'm assuming that the Billy who's been missing for 2 days is the same Billy some dude was looking for at the Double R when some kind of weird time shift thingy appeared to occur. Which leads me to number 4. If Billy's been missing for 2 days, how long has poor Jerry Horn been stuck in the fucking woods? I don't know, but at least Jerry appears to have found a way to somewhat neutralize his troubling foot troubles. Number 5. I have no idea what's going on with Sarah Palmer beyond the fact that her spooky spidey senses are confirming the notion that something big is about to go down in Twin Peaks. But Sarah Palmer definitely seems in tune with the fact that something awfully bad is about to go down. And if I had to venture a guess, I reckon we'll see dirty bearded men in her very near future. Number 6, and I could be way off on this, but the longer this season runs, the more convinced I am that we will see our beloved Sheriff Harry Truman, perhaps even in a cameo of sorts. Maybe we won't actually see him, but that key reveal scene between Ben and Frank, that really leads me to believe that Harry's character plays some very important role in all of this. And number 7, the biggest takeaway for me is that I think Season 4 is inevitable as long as Showtime gives the green light. Here we are, Part 12, just now seeing Audrey Horn for the very first time. And what happens? Just when we think we have a firm grasp on all the big players, a slew of new character names are thrown our way. I believe Lynch recently stated something to the effect that this is an ongoing story that doesn't have an ending. And if you read between the lines, Lynch, Frost, Kyle, they all seem eager to do a 4th season under the right circumstances. And I'm hopeful that we will get a 4th season because we're 2/3 of the way through now, and it still feels like questions are piling up quicker than answers. And then when we do get answers, They always produce a handful of new questions. Anyway, I thought part 12 was another powerhouse episode, and I, for one, am just itching to see part 13. I'm absolutely itching to see it, and I'm sure I'll be scratching all week long. Thanks for watching, everyone. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Please share your thoughts in the comments section and have a great night, everyone.